Hello! Welcome to yet another live stream, and today I got with me some of our amazing people from our Fantabulous sponsor, Twoday. Dum dum dum!
Hi.
Hello!
Hello.
Oh, so glad to have you on this live stream.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Happy to be here.
Woo! For those of you who are just joining, haven't joined the live stream before from Fabric February, we are hosting these live streams together with our Fabric February friends. So that's our sponsors. We have a lot of friends and we're really happy to have them. And one of our Fantabulous sponsors, which is, I guess, it's one of the most important sponsors, right? Because
Definitely.
you are making sure that we have coffee at Fabric February.
Yes.
Am I right?
Important.
The key thing.
Gotta
Yes.
have
We
it.
always need coffee to survive. We know the conference, energy vibe is challenging as it is. Really important sponsor spot.
I mean, I think I am a little worried that we're not going to be needing coffee to stay awake during Fabric February because the agenda is so amazing.
I could not agree more. Of course. No, but it is a challenge. We're now starting to finalize the schedule with all the time slots, and it's super difficult to try and give everyone that is interested in typical tracks the best day so that they can actually view everything that they want. Super duper challenging. So anyone who's joining, say hello to us in the chat, write us comments or questions, because we have some great content for you today. Because you're going to tell us some really amazing insights on using dbt and Azure Data Factory together with Microsoft Fabric. And you got some customer experience you want to share with us. So, I mean, there's all good stuff.
Absolutely. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Thank you. Akash, you're going to share the screen, right?
I can put it on the stage.
Perfect.
Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you for having us. We are really, really excited to be here. And as you already said, we're going to be talking a little bit about what we've been calling Fabric and Friends, because it's Fabric, the tool, the platform, and Friends of Fabric, other tools and other things that you can combine with Fabric. And in this particular case, we're going to be talking about using Azure Data Factory, that I know a lot of people know a lot about already, and also dbt Cloud, along with Fabric, to build a modern data platform. Should we maybe introduce ourselves with the next slide? I'll start. My name is Anna. I work as a tech manager for Fabric at Twoday, and I have two of my colleagues with me, Akash and Joachim. You want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, Akash. I work as a project manager here in Twoday.
Hi everyone, I'm Joachim. I work as an architect and advisor.
And I mean, from the stream, it's obvious. And also, we said we work at Twoday, but Twoday is maybe not as familiar to all of you as it is to us who work there, of course. But we're a Nordic technology company. We are a consultancy company, and we have about 3,000 employees. I think that number changes all the time, so this is maybe not the latest slide. But we have offices, and we are located in all but all the Nordic countries, not Iceland, but we also located in Lithuania. And we have 34 locations. Both me and Joachim and Akash, we all work at the Oslo office. And we work in the data and AI department that we have there, but we do other things than data and AI as well. We do software engineering, we have a digital experiences department, and also business applications across all the Nordic countries. I guess for today, the data and AI part is the most interesting and the most important. And of course, what we in Today do with Fabric. We were pretty lucky. We had about 6 months of experience with Fabric prior to Fabric being announced to the public. So we were part of the private preview part of Fabric, which is cool, and got to give our feedback and test the product before it became available on the market. And since then, we have now ongoing projects across all the Nordics, both greenfield projects and also migrations from other data platforms and into Fabric. And even though Fabric it's not really that new anymore, but it's new-ish. But the technology behind Fabric is a lot of very familiar Azure data platform components that we have a lot of experience with prior to Fabric, because we've been building data platforms in Azure for quite a while. So we know a little bit about Fabric already, even though it's kind of newish. On
We'll get some hands-on experience today.
hands-on experience, of course.
Do's and don'ts.
Yes, it does. And we try to put this experience to good use. We want to be the preferred Fabric partner for the Nordics. And we do that, or we strive for that ambition in a couple of different ways. We have a common Fabric framework across the Nordic countries in Today that we use to accelerate sort of the implementation time when we do Fabric projects, and also standardize the project that we implement, and keep ourselves true to the best practices and all that stuff. And I was actually looking at the Fabric February YouTube channel, because if somebody's interested in knowing more about this Fabric framework that we have, that was actually the live stream session that we did last year for Fabric February. So I think Martha is going to put up that link to the Fabric February YouTube channel in the stream here. But if you're interested in that, you can go and see the session from last year, where our colleagues Just and Henrik, they took us through the metadata-driven Fabric framework that we have, and showcased sort of the end-to-end implementation that we have with the Fabric framework. And we also, sorry, Martha, do you have a question?
No, that's I just exactly, and I posted the link in the chat if anyone wants to go to the exact video, or you can just check out our YouTube channel, Fabric February. All the live streams are there. Yes,
yeah, they're really good. A lot of them are very interesting topics from last year, and this year is exactly the same. We love attending these conferences and that stuff. I mentioned the Fabric February live stream for last year. We of course attended the Fabric February conference last year as well. So the top right corner picture in the slide is actually me, Akash, Joachim, and our colleague Per from last year at Fabric February. And as you can see, we brought a lot of snacks because we know that's very important. And we went to FabCon in Stockholm this past September, which was also really, really good. And we like to do sort of webinars and share what we learn and what we do on these webinars, and just knowledge sharing in general. We enjoy it. We give it back to the community, because the community gives a lot to us. I think everybody who's a developer and who's working with Fabric or other tools, they know how much the community is worth to them, and how we help each other with the tools, especially when they're kind of new, and definitely when they're developing as quickly as Fabric is.
Yeah, definitely. And like from the community point of view, we can safely say that we need organizations like Today that are interested in being part of the community and helping out, so that we can have these amazing conferences with a lot of snacks and have fun and get to know each other. And make like the nerdy IT part more than just us being nerds in our own offices. Yeah. So obviously we also appreciate that a lot.
Agreed.
Super important.
That was just like a little brief intro about Today and what we do and how we work with Fabric. I'm gonna be quiet now, and I'm gonna give the mic to Akash, who's gonna actually take us through the fun part, the customer project that we are going to be sharing our experiences from. So all yours, Akash.
All right. As Marte was pointing out, Fabric is quite new. But we have been so fortunate that we have already done a project on Fabric, and that is with an actual customer. So we're gonna tell you about today's first Fabric project here in Norway. So I'm gonna first run through a little bit around the customer, and then we're gonna touch a little bit on the project timeline to give you some points on like when did we take decisions, why did we take them, and where are we now? And then we're going to do a dive into maybe what's the most interesting part of this session, the data platform. So we're going to go into the tools we have used, reflect on them and talk if they are good solutions, or if they were good solutions then and why it was, and if they are still good solutions today. Like, should you go for this, or why shouldn't you go for this? So in October 23, we were approached by a company who was in search for a data platform. They are a company which works in the pharmaceutical retail industry. And I would say maybe one of the Norway's largest pharmacy chains. They have around over 250 stores, but they're kind of growing. And with that, of course, the data is growing as well. For the first part of the project here, we were mostly looking at structural data, but we also were considering the future explanation of more unstructured data. And of course, if someone approaches us, there's often some kind of challenge they want to solve. They now wanted a new data platform, and the main challenges I would say was that number one, they had what you would say maintenance issues. They were using a lot of time, a lot of people on just maintaining the existing solutions, bug fixing. There were many reports showing the same data, sometimes showing the different data. And as they are scaling, they also saw that the data is growing, and there was also coming a lot of new business demands, which they were having limitations with. And the last point, which I think is the most fun, is that they are quite a curious and techie team. So they want to leverage the newest and best technologies to make sure that they are working on the best. So they approached in October 23, and we started the implementation just a few months after, in February 24. But in between that, something happened. November 23, Fabric was made generally available. I think it was launched in May 23 at Ignite. So nearly the same month, we sat down with the client, discussing, okay, we need a proof of concept here for this new data platform. We need to decide what are the different architectures we could go for. We were discussing Snowflake, we were discussing Databricks, but based on like the technical landscape, the cost, and future use, and also the client being like heavily invested in Microsoft and being on a Fabric premium capacity, we saw that Fabric should be the new data platform, and we should focus our POC on those. Okay, how are the capabilities of Fabric? Can we go live with this platform? If not, what is the best combination here to build a data platform? So the goal of the proof of concept was to see, are there any big challenges with using Fabric? And if so, what other tools could we use to assist? So a few months after, we launched the new implementation after analyzing the different suggestions, and we ended up with the new data platform using Fabric, dbt Cloud, and Azure Data Factory. So after this, we have done like a stepwise adoption, meaning that we will kind of look in the business, look at the different business area, and decide, like, rip them apart and see how they are fitting into this new data platform. Are we meeting any challenges? And if so, how to solve them? So we did the first business area where we were migrated from the old solution from February to August last year, and we took like the learnings from there and then we applied it to the second project, which we are doing now. And this we are planning to end in March 25. All right. So over to what we implemented for the client. So here you see the architecture all the way from the data sources to where it will end. So we used Azure Data Factory to ingest data from different data sources, where the main ones were databases, different databases for the customer. They will land in a Fabric warehouse, and then we will connect dbt Cloud on top to do the transformations, moving in data from different warehouses, from bronze, silver, and gold, before they would end up in the Power BI semantic model. So I have listed some different applications up here, but I would just highlight the most important here is Power BI reports, which are used for consumption. And in the end, we are orchestrating this new data platform also with Azure Data Factory. We're using Azure Key Vault for parameterizing, so having like dev, test, and production environment, of course, storing secrets. And then we have Azure DevOps here, which are used for CI/CD and storing our code repositories. So for the next part of the talk, we are gonna do a little bit deep dive and explain you a little bit more on the choices we have taken and the learnings. So we're gonna do a deep dive on Azure Data Factory before we move on into dbt Cloud and Fabric Warehouse. Okay, Azure Data Factory. So what does it actually do in our project? It just very simply does what it's supposed to do. It copies data from different data sources, but we are also using it for orchestrating our data platform. So this means that kicking off for ingest jobs, then kicking off dbt transform data jobs before it triggers semantic models, which are then used in Power BI. But I think like the obvious question here is, okay, why are you using Azure Data Factory? Why are you not using Fabric pipelines? They are so similar. And at that point in time, we decided to go for Azure Data Factory. And I think the two main reasons, one being that at that time we saw that Azure Data Factory was quite more mature tool than Fabric pipelines. There was a requirement here to have CI/CD and different environments for the ingest layer, and this was not supported in Fabric pipelines at that time. There was also the most important data source from the client is an on-prem database, and this connector was also not available in Fabric at that time. And a point here is also that Azure Data Factory is quite a well-documented tool. It's been around for many, many years. And this is also something that we take a look at before we recommend something. And then the second part, bring a project manager, or everyone here knows that going on a project is always a tight timeline. So we were thinking that maybe we would not leverage the risk here and just go for something familiar and a more mature tool. We also saw that there's quite big similarities between Azure Data Factory and Fabric pipelines. That they're like down the road, there might be a possibility to migrate to Fabric later, making this decision not so irreversible. Okay. So this was like 1.5 year ago, 1 year ago, and now we are in January 25. Like, is it working? What is not working? Would we still recommend this, or are there any other considerations we should highlight to you guys? Number one, it works actually really good. We haven't faced any big, like major technical challenges, like knock on the table, as to say in Norwegian. But we are seeing that using it for orchestration is maybe not that scalable. We know that's not the main purpose of Azure Data Factory, and although we have good experience with using it, we can see that as the number of sources increases, that that maintaining this could be difficult down the road. But there are some considerations that we are thinking of now. As we are approaching the end of our second migration project, we are seeing that there have been a lot of development on the Fabric pipelines. Like, there are many new features which is added, a lot of cool features, and this kind of makes us think: is Azure Data Factory still a prioritized platform? Like, when will Fabric pipelines kind of go be better than Azure Factory? And we also know that there are a lot of big environments out there on Azure Data Factory, who's been working on Azure Data Factory for many years, and we are kind of thinking if how difficult will the migration be to Fabric pipelines? Will it be costly? Will it take a lot of time? Maybe you will meet some technical challenges, something which is not supported on the migration. So I think the last question here is quite important to reflect on. The second point is that, as Anne mentioned, we have a Twoday framework here for Fabric, which are using only Fabric elements. This is something we have built based on our cooperation with Microsoft, and also on all the insights we have from our customer project from different countries. So it is a metadata-driven framework which just simplifies and automates a lot of the common challenges you have in a data platform. And we see that there is a big opportunity here to leverage like parts of this framework for the ingest and orchestration layer, saving us a lot of time. Okay, so this was Azure Data Factory, a tool I think many people who have worked with Microsoft or building a platform on Microsoft is familiar with. But now with dbt, which is maybe not that a familiar tool. So before we go into do a deep dive here, I just want to make sure that everyone on the same page and know what dbt is. Very simply, dbt just solves the T in an ETL process. So it takes your data from your sources, and it transforms it into data sets which are clean and friendly for analytic purposes. It's free, it's open source, and it's SQL based. So this tool has been like popular in Europe for some time, but it's kind of gaining more and more traction here in Norway, and that is mainly to some of the key features that it has. So it's self-documenting. It forces you to document your code. It has a good data lineage, and it encourages is an easy way to test your data and also your models. and of course it supports Git. And this is like the dbt core functionality, and then you have the SaaS product from the company, which is called dbt Cloud. So I've just included some screenshots to just give you some kind of feeling of what we are looking at. So here on the top left, we have a little lineage graph, so you can see what models your end models is depending on. So if you're having trouble, you can very easily detect where the bug is, or where you should do some changes. And here on the bottom left, we have a typical test on your key columns to see if they are unique and not null. Okay, what does it actually solve in our project? It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It does the data transformations, and it uses the Fabric warehouse for the storage and compute. And I think, as with Azure Data Factory, you can also ask here, okay, why are we using dbt Cloud? It's just an extra tool. Why are we just not using Fabric notebooks? It's so easy. It's there in the browser. Why are you doing this? At that point in time, we saw that we were testing the Fabric notebooks, and we saw there were version control limitations. So we were having difficulties doing pull requests, merges, and also being multiple developers working together. And as we are a big team, this was quite important, and maybe one of the main driver for this decision. The client also has quite good SQL skills, so there was a preference at the client for fast adoption, since dbt makes a good fit with teams with good SQL skills. And also, I want to highlight the self-documenting. The functionalities will kind of reminds you of a data catalog, which just comes out of the box, which they were quite impressed with. A small point, not the most important, is that schemas was only available in Fabric Warehouse and not in Lakehouse, making it an additional benefit. So it is January 25. Is this working? Is it not working? What should you guys think of if you were to build this today? Surprise! I can reveal one again. It works really good. We have seen some hiccups, but they have been fixed by dbt itself. And I also want to point out again that it's a good fit for teams with good SQL experience. But there are some considerations here. And number one, like the most important one, is that dbt only supports Fabric Warehouse and not Lakehouse. So carefully consider the drawbacks of this. Like you will not be able to do any write operations with Python, which I think kind of limits quite a lot of flexibility. There has been some new recommendation here from dbt, and that is to use the Lakehouse for the bronze and the silver layer, and then going for the warehouse on gold. So you would kind of go for Lakehouse in the 2 earlier layers and using notebooks, and then combining it with dbt, doing the business transformations. This, I think, is very interesting, and I think it should be explored as as it kind of combines both the flexibility and powerfulness of Python, and also like the strengths of dbt. Another point here is that dbt cloud has a cost, but here also there has been some development. Like I think it was in November last year, the dbt core adapter for Fabric was just released, and this means that you can run dbt for free now. So you can have a quite powerful data platform for lesser money, which I think is worth exploring. All right, we have now kind of gone through what we have done, and I think like the message here is like, okay, Fabric was you're quite an eager gang. You started very fast with implementing Fabric, and it was kind of immature for the parts we were looking at in that time. But would you still recommend this? Are Azure Data Factory still a good tool? Is dbt still a good tool? Should you go for this if you were building something from scratch today? I think that if your team has good SQL experience and you want to increase your adoption, I still think that dbt is a great tool. It has a lot of unique functionalities. They are quite mature, and with the Fabric and dbt making the adapter now available, so you can explore this using the free version, I think this should definitely be explored. And also with the new architectural recommendation, where you're using like Lakehouse for the first part of your ingest, and then doing warehouse on top of that, I think this can be very powerful actually. And what about Azure Data Factory? Is this still a good tool, or would you go for Fabric pipelines? I still think that Azure Data Factory is more mature than Fabric pipelines. But if Fabric pipelines kind of solves your initial needs or the most important needs, I think this should be preferred, as this is like a growing technologies, and there will be more and more features added to this rapidly in the next years. Like you're not jump on a sinking ship with Azure Data Factory, but you're maybe jumping on a faster ship with Fabric pipelines. And I just want to end with some of the features we are looking into now as we are getting closer on our second adoption project. Of course, number one is the Twoday framework, how we can leverage it even more. Number two, mirroring. I think this is a great opportunity if to save both cost and time. So I'm quite interested if anyone here has tried it. And number two, purview, which we are just seeing becoming more and more powerful with Fabric. Just want to end with saying that working with Fabric is a journey. It will make you reconsider a lot of your architectural decisions, going back to the whiteboard more than one time. Because the maturity of the platform increases and it is doing it very fast. But this is also what makes it fun. Okay, Anna, maybe you can tell a little bit about what we're doing at Fabric February.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think this is a cool topic, I love this topic. Akash is going to be at Fabric February. And
Woo!
So are we, Joachim and I, and a lot of our colleagues. We are one of the sponsors, so we have our own stand at the main conference, and we'll be there all day. So we would absolutely love if you would come and talk to us during the day. We love having visitors to our stand and hearing what you guys are working on and If you have any questions about this, we're going to do a Q&A like real soon. But we'll be at Fabric February, so come say hi. We would love to hear from you. And we also have a session, not us personally, but our colleagues Just and Henrik are going to be delivering a session about the Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. They're going to do a live demonstration of how it works. Unless Marta or Emilia or Katrine is moving around the sessions, it's going to be at 1 o'clock in Saal number 9. And if they do move it around, you have to go and look for it, see where it ends up in the new agenda. But I think that's going to be a really, really cool session. So I hope I'll get to attend that one, unless there's something else behind the blurred part of this picture, which is more exciting.
This is going to be the challenge for everyone the entire day, I think.
Definitely.
What sessions to choose from. And yes, the schedule is definitely like prone to change. It can happen. So on the day, make sure that you use the QR code. We're going to give it to you all over the place. And of course, the schedule is also on our website. But yeah, the rooms and also the times might jump around a bit, moving up until the day. So that's a heads up. So you need to stay alert, drink all the coffee, eat all the snacks to make sure you get the best sessions.
Absolutely.
And I do recommend trying to get a chat in with our Danish colleagues, Just and Henrik. Just is really passionate about sharing knowledge. He started the Power BI user group, I think, in Denmark. And Henrik is one of the most technically proficient people on the Fabric platform, I think. And he's having discussions directly with the product team in Microsoft, which is one of the main developers behind the framework that we have.
Definitely. There are a lot of experts, and that's also one thing. We want everyone to come and talk to us, right? And have those discussions, and obviously talk to our Fabric February friends. There are not only sponsors making sure that we have the coffee, but they also got great knowledge. That's the cool thing.
So, and we also know that you guys, all the people attending, have your own perspectives and views and stuff, and a lot of knowledge. So this is also for us a knowledge sharing opportunity to hear from other people and what they've done differently or similarly to us. So exactly. Come talk to us, come say hi.
Building the community, definitely.
Yes.
All right. So are we ready for a Q&A now? Would that be appropriate? Because I see we have some great people, because we see you guys. We see that you're on the different social medias here, being part of this. I mean, we have people from Paris. Hello, Anas, really nice.
Hello,
we feel international and cool. We love that. And also Catherine, she likes to hear all the things, and not only marketing, but also the practical examples and real world stories. Yeah, for those who know, Catherine got a dog, so we have some comments about her dog as well. Pixel, of course, that's key content here. Really important.
Very cute. I came for the dog, actually.
Yeah.
Stayed for the Fabric content.
Yeah. We have also a comment here coming from LinkedIn. From Sakin, sorry if I butcher any name, but we're using dbt with Snowflake. It is not that developer friendly for production grade project for maintenance purpose. I don't see any point in using different tools for orchestration for data loading in dbt cloud for transformation pipeline orchestrations. Okay, so that's definitely a viewpoint that's interesting. But I think you guys explained it really well. The point that when we started, I'm talking like we're but when the world started, I'm pretending to be part of you guys now. But when the world started with Fabric, it was not that mature. And there was definitely some challenges. It was really cool to start hacking along. I remember like opening it up and being like, wow, this was, no offense to Microsoft, but like actually cool. Sometimes the marketing material is just cooler than the actual product. This time it was really cool, but it wasn't all the features that obviously were that mature. So yeah, I could definitely, and I've seen also some other organizations also think this way. You had to start somewhere else. But if you wanted to, like, and you did mention this, but if you wanted to do it from the beginning now, starting completely fresh, would you use Azure Data Factory? Is it now inside Fabric mature enough, you think, to take advantage of for this project?
I
or similar
guess I can
projects?
answer that, because one of the key things that is missing right now is the key vault functionalities, and security-wise and maintaining secrets is quite important for most enterprise deployments. So until that comes around, then we'll still be using Data Factory for, at least for this customer, I think. But it also depends on the criticality levels. Like working with a pretty like old, still maturing product means that you always have to consider, is this, let's call it a workload, is that, how critical is it, and how do we want to manage it? Building on what Sachin asks, I think the whole thing around Fabric is that it's meeting sort of an analysis business side. The Excel people is meeting sort of the technical and developer centric way of working. You're getting a lot of software engineering best practices while stuffing it into a platform that's mainly used by business people previously, and closer to Power BI, which had a different way of working, sort of. And this is still developing, so it's still maturing to be, hopefully it'll be something that's both accessible to business users, but also mature technically and from a developer's point of view. And it's approaching that quite quickly, I would say. So that's why you get these different opinions in terms of how mature it is and how production grade. What is production grade? That really isn't one thing. It's several things.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, as you also highlighted now, Joachim, the like, what do people prefer?
Yeah.
We, of course, it's super important. We have to obviously think about this. And if everyone is expert or experts on something, why would we move everything to the new tool? Or maybe you could start somewhere, but then the vision or the future could be to move towards more, I don't dare to say modern. Oh, someone's going to shoot me, but because I know this is like religion, T-SQL versus other things, Python and such. So this is also super interesting.
I really agree with that. I work a lot with customers trying to select which tools to use for their data platform and how to set up their tech stack. And I think the most underappreciated metric is preference. It's okay to have preferences in this setting, because there is no objective best platform. It's never going to be.
I agree. And we have we have many questions coming in, actually. One from Alexander. Do you have any features of dbt Cloud in mind that would potentially stop you from migrating to dbt Core or be a headache now that the connector is available? So maybe also just what was this different types of dbt things? Remind us about that, and then help us understand this.
Do you want to chime in, Akash, or should I answer?
I can try that. So dbt Cloud is built upon dbt Core, so it's kind of the free, or it's an open source, the dbt core of it. And I would say if you go for the new connector, which is free, you kind of have to have a little more technical experience, as you would have to maintain bigger maintenance than you have on dbt Cloud. So maybe the technical experience, but what more of our users love is the web interface of dbt Cloud. So it's quite easy for people who don't have so much technical experience to just log in, look at the transformations we have without like downloading Visual Studio Code or the Git and everything. So I think it's more the convenient part here, and the user experience.
And as we see, dbt is lately it's been developing in a direction where more features in dbt Cloud are sort of dbt Cloud specific. Yesterday they announced an acquisition for SDF Labs, which would probably bring a lot of interesting features from another open source product into the whole suite, into dbt Cloud. So it depends on sort of the value offering that dbt Cloud is at any time offering, and how well that coincides with the needs for a specific project, and whether that's worth it, basically. And also this cost versus complexity thing that Akash mentioned is really important there as well, where sometimes it costs more to have that added complexity rather than just buying dbt cloud, because setting up containers or running dbt core is actually, it's something to maintain. It's something you have to think about the operational costs of, that you're sort of buying yourself out of with dbt cloud.
It's really interesting, and also it's cool. So dbt, I feel like dbt caught on around Fabric a bit before that. This might not be true. It's just that's when I noticed it, and then I felt it grew in popularity. And then obviously Fabric were missing some tools, so this combining them has been some really interesting setup that can solve some of our challenges. We got more.
Joachim has a comment to the question that was just asked, which I think is interesting as well.
I think Sachin's
right?
comment is quite good because it makes this job scheduling quite easy with having dbt cloud. So you can just click inside dbt cloud, set up you want to run this job, and then you can trigger it with API. And this would not be possible with the dbt core. You would need more technical expertise for this.
Thank you, Sachin.
I love a good discussion.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, we have one more. I think this is the last one we're gonna have time for, because we have to wrap up, because people need to go back to work and stop eating lunch and having coffee. We have a commentary, I think, or maybe a question. We can discuss a bit around it anyways. So how does Microsoft Fabric unify data integrations, analytics, and business intelligence into a single platform to simplify enterprise workflows? This is from Yitendra, and I think maybe what we could discuss here is, obviously, this is a selling point from Microsoft. This is one platform to solve all your things. Obviously, from this we see that all the things wasn't really solved, especially not in the beginning. What should people think when they are now pulling in other tools, adding complexity that they try to stay away from? What do you think about the future and vision? How should you think?
Well,
I think maybe I felt like this question was absolutely made for Joachim, because you've talked a lot about this with a lot of people. What maybe a typical example would be working with Synapse back in the days versus Fabric. But you'll go ahead, Joachim. I think you have some insights on this.
So it does sort of touch into one of the downsides, actually, of using dbt the way we have been using it. Given, I think you mentioned one time to me, Akash, that when we were using dbt with warehouses all the way, it ends up being an engine, and Fabric is so much more than just a SQL engine. It has a really wide. It's a one-stop shop for analytics, which is still growing. So you sort of want to hit that sweet spot where you have the tooling that does things exactly as you want it, but you want the full range of capabilities. And I think that's why we've sort of pivoted to thinking about using lakehouses for the initial stages of the architecture, the staging of data, the loading of data that can be automated in a higher degree, while there will always be business rules to be implemented and understood by people writing some code, which dbt is fantastic at. So having that sort of new recommended architecture where we use lakehouses in the beginning, we use notebooks to stage and load everything and clean it up, and then use dbt more purely for the analytics. And you could say this about all the different areas, because you have data science platforms that are really mature, like Databricks, for instance. And while Fabric isn't there yet with their ML-based workloads, you can do it there. You can do an MVP. You can start working with it, and that's one of the nice things I think about Fabric, is really lowering the entrance point for testing out new things, working with a wider range of technologies, and which is more than enough for a lot of people. Then it will become mature, and at that point you have a functioning one-stop shop that can do everything.
So there's more to come, and obviously Microsoft is also really eager to tell us about Fabric being the vision. Fabric is where things are happening, and we as developers also see this changing all the time, every day, and sometimes difficult to keep up. So that's part of the fun, I guess. This was a great chat. Really enjoyed learning more about dbt, Azure Data Factory, how you've used this together with the Fabric. And also, I think our discussion has been really interesting. So thank you so much for being part of this live stream.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
This was
And
awesome.
thank you to everyone who participated in the chat, of course.
Yes.
And came with their
Great
questions and their comments.
And if you have more questions, you can, of course, meet today at Fabric February. So that will be the main con day. That's 6th of February. Sorry, too many days. So for those of you who don't know, repeating myself, Fabric February is an in real life conference happening in Oslo, Norway from February 5th throughout 7th. The first day is a training day with GuideCube to get an introduction of Fabric, what Fabric is. And it's sold out. You heard it here first. So we sold it out yesterday. And then we have the main con day, still tickets left. So be quick to make sure you can join. This is also where you're going to meet Twoday and all the amazing sponsors and all the amazing speakers and enjoy all the different sessions. And then we also have a postcon day. So that's the Friday where we have 3 sessions you can join or 3 training days you can join. Real-time intelligence, analytics, which are sold out, unfortunately, and data engineering. So few tickets left on data engineering and real-time intelligence. So be fast. Okay, so that was the last update. I think we'll say thank you and see you at Fabric February.
Thank you and see you.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you.